below 80% AMI. I am Tiffany McNair, Housing Commissioner for the City of Toledo. Our director is Rosalind Clemens, and we will go ahead and start with our slide. Thank you. So our NOFA timeline, our NOFA was issued via a public notice on November 29th, 2021. Today we are holding our mandatory workshop, which is January 26th. Our applications are due via our Zoom grants portal by 4:45 p.m. on Friday, February 11th. And we will provide our notice of soft commitment, also known as a conditional commitment, on or before March 4th, 2022, and our final commitment and execution of written agreement will be determined in a future time. I do want to say that our commitments are going to be just slightly different this year. We're going to actually have additional information in the commitment letter of what should and should not be done prior to a commitment of funds. So our developers do not inadvertently commit a choice limiting, make a choice limiting decision, which would preclude us from being able to provide those federal dollars to their development. So the City of Toledo, as you all know, and most of you, I'm looking at the attending list, were part of our committee for our comprehensive housing strategy. And so we did figure out what our housing needs were. 92% of all of our homes were built prior to 1980. Our home ownership rate in Toledo, it is on the decline. We do promote this program so we can hopefully stabilize that and increase home ownership. We have 19,305 households considered severely cost burden, meaning they are paying more than 50% of their income towards housing costs. Again, a program like this does allow us to reach those households that they are able to enter to hopefully mortgage agreements that they are paying 30% max of their income towards their housing costs. We have a growing population of residents that are 65 and over with a disability. Thus, new construction usually allows for ADA accessibility to the homes. And we have over 20,000 vacant properties in our city. And this program does allow, again, for the rehab of existing properties to be converted into home buyer units. This NOFA was separated from our affordable rental housing development NOFA. We have funds that are available to that type of activity that are not available to this home buyer activity. So we separated them out so we can just prioritize each on its own merits and then allow for the applicants to know what we're doing here. So our priority, again, is to solicit proposals for the development of homebuyer units by CHDO and non-CHDO developers, with a priority obviously given to home buyers at or below 80% of the area median income. These federal dollars do not allow us to exceed the home dollars, not to exceed 80% of the AMI. We have set aside $330,000 for CHDOs and $500,000 for our non-CHDOs. We continue to prioritize our NERSA areas, our neighborhood revitalization strategy areas. Those areas are intended to revitalize the neighborhoods by encouraging a coordinated approach through comprehensive place-based efforts. We did prioritize nurses in our affordable rental housing development. Again, it's just something that we as a city are committed to seeing through our 10-year comprehensive housing strategy action plan. We have submitted our application to HUD to have them certify us on a federal level for our NERSA areas, but right now our NERSA areas are City of Toledo designated areas. Here's our proposed target areas. In the application portal, we do have a map of the NERSA target areas. I will actually be updating the map because I don't believe in that one. I had Junction in there, but we will update the map and make sure that you have that so you can reference it when you're submitting your application. It's Inglewood, Junction, the Old South End, and Garfield Star Raymer area on East Toledo. Here's a more closer look at each NERSA. This one is Inglewood. We have Junction, which is bounded by Dorr Street on the north, I-75 and Anthony Wayne Trail on the east, and it goes back up towards Brown or the railroad tracks, and then the Old South End. And finally, the Garfield Star Raymer area. So our evaluation criteria this year has been streamlined. We have the same points system that we have with our other NOFA for the rental housing. We're going to do weighted scores, which allows for a more competitive application pool. We didn't want to solely base or have some of our applications weighed heavily on applicant experience when maybe a newer developer or a newer idea was not getting the recognition for the innovativeness of their application. So this allows us to put more weight in other areas so we can actually put forth projects and support projects that are in alignment with our housing strategy and what we've discovered the housing needs to be for the city overall. So we have project information, which in the application will ask about specific things, and it's all included here: income targeting, population targeting, area, specific housing needs addressed, readiness to proceed. We will have a preference for projects located in our NERSA. We will have preference for projects that have site control at the time of the application and zoning approval. Our financial feasibility, we will underwrite these projects internally. We will determine cost reasonableness by comparing the project cost to similar developments in the city of Toledo from current and or previous years. And the information is there, which is determined by construction type, population served, and the area. And the total development cost will be determined on a per unit basis. Again, our preference are listed below each category. Preference for financial feasibility will be projects with funding gaps under 10% of the total development costs. And we will ensure that the per unit subsidy does not exceed the maximums published by HUD annually. Applicant experience, we will want to know the developer owner experience when it comes to development of affordable housing and rehabilitation in the city of Toledo, including new construction experience, project management experience, specifically with single family homes, knowledge and use of federal funding for affordable housing development. And there is a preference of organizations or developers that have 10+ years of experience. And 5% of the scoring will be tallied based on collaboration, site amenities, innovation, MBE and WBE involvement. Preference given to projects that are energy efficient, have green features, and attempt to meet the minimum City of Toledo MBE and WBE involvement of 21%. So some key conditions of funding. Final approved, let me see really quick. I want to see if Director Clemens joined us. I know she wanted to be on here. Director Clemens, did you want to talk about the key conditions for funding?
Oh, good morning, everybody. You can proceed. I'll chime in when I think there's a need to.
Okay. Thank you. So our final approved funding amounts will be based on validation of construction costs and final funding commitments, meaning if there is funding that an organization will be receiving from a third party, a line of credit or a bank, we would need to have that in place before we determine our final funding amount. Funds will be reserved for a maximum of 12 months, but may be withdrawn earlier if satisfactory progress is not demonstrated. The City of Toledo Department of Housing and Community Development reserves the right to reallocate funds and or cancel funds reservations. Funding will be closed as a subordinate loan. Interest rate and terms are subject to negotiation. Okay, I just got a note that there is bad feedback. Let's see. Is it still occurring? I don't know how I will be able to fix that. 1 second, sorry. Is it still happening? Dr. Clemens, could you take over? I believe that it's my speaker that's bad.
Okay, I've called in. Let me mute myself. How's that? Is that good?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, great. Thank you to technology. Okay, so our recipients will be required to execute a promissory note, deed of trust, regulatory agreement, and restrictive covenant for the affordable units. We do have exhibits that will be included with the agreement for funding that are to be executed with the actual buyer of the home. It will talk about the recapture of the funds and also a repayment if that's required. Another thing that is key to this particular program this year is that all current home buyer activities must be completed prior to a final commitment of funds. We do know that we have some particular entities that apply with us every year. We will not do a final commitment of any funds if you have an open activity. So you will want to make sure that this is being timed just so that when you complete your current activity that we can move forward to entering into a final commitment. If necessary, closing will occur concurrently with other funding sources. Funds will be dispersed in draws as a prorated share of the equal percent of funding in the development budget. We will ask for a construction timeline, and we will likely align our draws with that construction timeline. Home-funded projects must comply with affordability requirements of the Home Final Rule at Section 24 of the CFR Part 92. Any person or firm suspended or debarred from participating in city, state, or federal procurement is ineligible to receive funding, and all applicable historical and environmental reviews must be completed and approved final to a final commitment of funds. So I'm going to the chat. Yes, most of this was about our feedback. Thank you everyone for assisting and being patient with that. Delfonso asked, will these presentation slides be available to us in a hard copy? Yes, if you would like this to be emailed to you, please let us know. We will email it. I did keep a tally of who was all present in today's presentation. We will also have these slides available on our website, just as we did with our previous presentation. And you will be able to access those at your leisure. Are there any more questions? And if there aren't any more questions, Director Clemens, did you have anything that you would like to add?
Good morning. Thank you, Tiffany. Did we talk about the importance of having site control of the properties for which you're going to be requesting funding through this opportunity?
It was mentioned, but if you would like to elaborate on that and when it comes to our evaluation.
Yes, I mean, we've got, you know, we just closed the multifamily housing development NOFA yesterday. I believe there's over $40 million of requests for OPRA and home ARP and home funds dollars. The funding that we have available to do this work here, that demonstrates that the need is just so great. We simply don't have the resources to commit to projects that are not absolutely ready to go. If you are going to be submitting for CHDO or non-CHDO home buyer units, you must have site control of the lots or the properties for which you are going to be asking the funding for. We will not allow our partners to bank money and then find the properties later on, number one. Number two, if you have outstanding home buyer projects that are not completed, we will not give you additional funds. Our final commitments for these dollars will not come until we see that you have completed the projects for which you have been funded. Again, the need is just so great that we've got to invest these dollars in projects that are absolutely ready to go and where you are sort of finishing up one activity and ready to jump into the one that you've applied for. So those are the two concerns. Commissioner McNair mentioned that the funds will be provided as a loan. I want to say that there is some flexibility in that. We will look at your deal. If it can support a loan with the sales, we will do that. If not, we will explore the opportunity of having this be a grant. So just want to add that there is some flexibility with regard to that piece. We appreciate all of your work. And we look forward to getting your applications in shortly for this opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. So it does not appear that we have any additional questions. We will be sure to email a copy of these slides to at least one person in your organization. I do see one organization has multiple attendees this morning. If you have questions, please email them to me and I will respond, hopefully with the information that is helpful to you to help you with your application. We have nothing else at this point to add. We do have Commissioner Bonds on here. I don't know, Benita, if you had anything you wanted to add to the conversation. But if not, the application, Aaron, the link is actually in the public notice. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was our Zoom link that was in there. I'll be sure to email the link to the application and Zoom grants, but that will also be available on our website. You're welcome. Okay, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.